Hello, gorgeous. Welcome to the lounge of the Single Women's Society. I am honored that you are here and spending time with me today because I know your time is precious. I am your dating coach and host, Kat Cantrell. Welcome to the show, my love. I invite you to come on in, grab your drink of choice, whether it be a cup of coffee or a cocktail. Hopefully, maybe you're spending some time on yourself as you're listening to this episode. Or maybe you're like me, which the majority of the time that I listen to podcasts, it's usually when I'm working out. So pre-COVID, I would dance in the dance studio and then I would go to the local gym and I would lift weights. Well, then COVID happens and a lot of everything kind of completely changed in my life. And I turned my garage into a little gym. So it's kind of, at first it was like, well, I have to do it this way, but I actually really like the solitude, to be honest with you. And maybe you're like that too, where it's nice to just kind of get away and move your body and just feel good in your own skin. And then I listen to podcasts, and then I'll as I'm listening to podcasts, I'll get inspired for subjects for the show or to whatever is affecting, especially when it comes to the dating world, because it's ever changing because of COVID. I think it's, as you all know, my philosophy on that. Like, I just feel like COVID has really shifted how we view about connection and view about love and view about dating in general. So I always take these little notes and put them in my phone. And so maybe you're doing that. Maybe you're hanging out. Maybe you're working out. Maybe you're going for a walk. It's getting cold here. It's getting super cold here in Iowa. Super cold. That's not true. This winter, usually the winters, it gets, with the wind chill, it's about 20 to 20, could get to like 25 below zero. This is when schools get canceled and such. And when I first moved to Iowa, I was like, oh, it's not that bad. But you don't realize until you move here and like everything's flat. So there's nothing blocking the wind. So it's really cold. So it's starting to get cold here, and I'm wearing my turtleneck and I'm all nice and cozy here in our virtual lounge of the Single Women's Society. So I'm so excited that you're here. And there's kind of a reason why I talked about moving your body. Today's topic was brought to me by you, my listeners, our listeners. And if you follow me on Instagram, every now and then I'll put a shout out to requesting what you would like for me to record as far as podcasts are concerned. This is how I find the majority of my on-air coaching calls, is through women who follow me on Instagram and usually through my stories. And this question was brought to me, and I thought it was interesting because it kind of synced up to what I've been doing for the last month and a half. I have been giving these presentations to local colleges about body positivity, because I've been coaching women about loving their bodies and embracing their bodies themselves for over a decade. And this is something that's near and dear to my heart. And I talk about body positivity because it affects your dating life. Truly. If you don't love your body and you're seeking out a partner who does love your body, 99.9% of the time, you're going to seek out a partner that you're settling on, who doesn't deserve you. Now, studies show that 97% of women don't like their bodies. So I'm not talking about, I know that as you're listening to this, and this episode isn't going to be about body positivity, but I'm just kind of giving you a little bit of background of why I think that this episode is important, because body does play a part of it. If we're not feeling ourselves or loving our body, we're going to seek out partners who will love our body. And sometimes those partners don't deserve our time and attention. And so we'll settle. And so loving your body enough. And if you listen to my previous episodes, you know, I talk about having this enough in your life, being happy enough, loving your body enough in order to seek, to be in the right headspace and mind, and being right, bright-minded in order to really put yourself out there and start dating. So I've been doing these body positivity speeches with these local colleges. I actually have another one coming up the end of the month for my ladies at Cornell, if you're listening. And I wanted to bring a little bit of this to you in your ears, because the question I got asked, and I wrote this down, was how do I put myself out there if I'm feeling old and fat? That was her question. And I think post-COVID, we're not giving ourselves, in general, people, society, giving ourselves enough grace coming out of, and we're not even really kind of coming out, like it's still going on, right? Adjusting to the new normal, realizing that things have changed in some, and for some women, it means your bodies have completely changed, because we were just coping. We were taking life day to day to day. Remember, it was like, remember, flatten the curve is going to take 2 weeks. And now here we are, like literally almost 2 years later. And I don't feel like women give themselves enough grace and understanding that, that you just basically survived without, that's probably not the greatest choice of words, to be honest with you, but you have really come out the other side of this pandemic. And so that's the first thing that I just kind of want to mention, is that with this comment, how do I put myself out there feeling old and fat? With this comment, I feel like all of us need to give ourselves grace, because we've been through a lot. All of us, our kids, ourselves, our parents, our coworkers, our friends, everyone has been through a lot these last couple of years. And in fact, I was reading a study in Psychology Today that talked about how people don't even know how to relate to people right now. Like everything happened so quickly, and we were forced into our homes, and now we're kind of coming out, and people just don't have patience anymore with each other. And I have to remind myself of that myself. I'm even finding that I get impatient when I used to not, when I used to have lots of patience. So I think that this is all going to be a learning curve for us to get acclimated with one another again. And this is why the more and more I'm diving into and coaching women more in the online dating space, I'm finding that there's a lot that's lacking there too. And this is one of the reasons why, if you're online dating, I highly suggest that you seek out someone who has an outside point of view to look at what's going on, because the online dating space is saturated, and it's really truly lacking the human connection. People are trying, but I just feel like after COVID and just us struggling and really trying to connect with one another again, it's going to take a while. It's going to take a while. So that's the first thing not the first thing, but just before I go into what you can do about, and I'm going to give you some steps today, because you ladies love the steps. You love it when I give you steps. Do this and this and this and this. So that's what I'm going to do today. So how do you get out of this funk? That's what my mom used to call it, get into a funk. How do you get out of the funk? And it's like with body positivity, when I give these speeches to these ladies, it's not like I can walk in and be like, love your body, thank you very much, and out. And I walk out the door. It's not like that. It's not like that. It's not just a switch, as you all know. It isn't just you're going to wake up tomorrow and love everything about yourself, and you're not going to feel old, and you're not going to feel fat, right? This is a process. But here's one of the silver linings in this question is, you're not seeking out this admiration from other partners or other potential romantic partners or other people. You're realizing that maybe I shouldn't be putting myself out there if I'm not feeling myself, if I'm feeling old and fat. Maybe this is something that I need to ask Kat, right? Like this is kind of a celebration. I'm super, and that was when her and I were talking in the DMs of Instagram. I was telling her I was super proud of her. The fact that, first off, that she shared this part of herself with me. And second, that, that she realized this about herself. Instead of like seeking out that attention from other people, she's realizing, wait a minute, these are things that I need to focus on, that I need to get my perspective and start shifting my own mindset in order to put myself out there or to be like the best version of myself. And that's what I always teach you, right? Is when you decided that you're going to start dating, you owe it to that potential person and they owe it to you, the person that's across the table, to be the best, very best version of yourself. Happy enough. You're not perfect. You don't have to do all the work. You don't have to fix everything, right? And if you haven't heard my whole thing about being fixed, my episode about that, you need to go back. I think that was a couple episodes ago. So here I'm going to give you a 3-step process. Here we go. I even have my notes. A 3-step process of how we can help you shift that mindset if you're not feeling yourself. If you're feeling like this sweet woman, if you are feeling like I'm just old and I'm fat and I don't even know, how can I even put myself out there if I'm feeling this way about myself? So there are 3 things that keep us, if you've heard me talk about ankle weights, keep those ankle weights on and keep our feet planted to the ground and that are not allowing us to grow. If we're not feeling good about our bodies, if we're not feeling good about ourselves in general, and if we're not feeling good about our lives, then this is what can paralyze us to where we don't put ourselves out there. These 3 different ways. So it's your body and how you think about yourself, and then how you think about your life. And so you can see how you may think, okay, well, I feel pretty good about myself, but I'm not really happy where I'm at in life. And maybe you don't love your body. You can see how that still can skew your perception of what type of mate and what type of partner you're seeking. And the thing about all of this is that if those 3 things aren't somewhat in sync, meaning that you're feeling good about your body, you're feeling good about who you are as a woman, and that you're feeling good enough about your life, and instead of saying, oh, I'm going to be happy when all of these things happen, instead of saying, okay, what can I do now to take the power back? Because this is a loss of power, right? So when we're not feeling this way, we're talking negative about ourselves. So we're saying that we're old, and we're saying that we're fat. We're saying these things about ourselves. This is what I teach women, is what they call out of power language. It's negative talk about yourself. And when you speak negatively about yourself in any area of your life, whether it be your body, whether it be who you are as a woman, whether it be where you're at in life, if you're going to talk negatively about yourself, you're basically feeding your subconscious, and it's going back into your subconscious, and you're basically convincing yourself all of the time that these things are your reality. Because your mind, why would you lie to yourself? So if you say to yourself, okay, I'm old and I'm fat, then your brain goes, okay, you're old and fat. And then what happens is when you have this perception about yourself and you speak negatively about yourself, whether it be your body, whether it be yourself or your life in general, when you're speaking these things and you're feeding your brain is going to seek out. And I know I've talked about this before. I talked about this on how to attract love into your life. If you haven't listened to that episode, there's some of this in there. But when you're feeding your brain, you're like, oh, I'm speaking negatively. You're feeding your brain about it. Then you're creating a filter on your life where you're constantly seeking confirmation that you are correct. It's true. So if you're feeling old and fat, you are going to purposely seek out information that confirms what you think and feel. So this is why this is so important when it comes to dating, Because if you are putting yourself out, if you're listening to this episode and you have put yourself out there and you're not feeling good about yourself, you need to stop dating right now. Right now. And if you're the type of woman that's like, well, I can't be single, I don't know how to be single, then that is when you truly need to have someone else's assistance on how to process information and how to process what's going on in your life. Because in order to be able to attract a partner who is deserving of you, you have to prove it to yourself that you're deserving of your own time and attention and love and admiration. And if you don't feel that you're deserving of that, and if you can't be comfortable in your own skin, and if you can't just settle and be happy enough with your single life, then you're not going to find a true partner. You're not. It may be temporarily, like you'll find someone, but it won't last because insecurities come out. You have not done this feeling better about yourself, feeling better about your mind, feeling better about your body, and feeling better about your life. You haven't done that work, and you're not going to be fulfilled in a relationship either. It's like what I tell women when I give this speech about your body, is I tell women that there's no magic number, whether it be your size, whether it be the weight on the scale, the macros, the micros, the cutting, all of that craziness that we do to our body. 97% of women aren't happy with their body, right? So no matter how much dieting and all the craziness that you put yourself through, guess what? If you're not doing this inner work, loving yourself, loving your life enough, no matter how much you weigh, it will never give you the happiness that you're seeking. If you're seeking to be healthy, yes, absolutely 100%. If you think that the skies are going to open and everything is going to be great, if you find someone, if you're in that relationship, if you find that magic person, or if you reach that number on a scale, it's not going to happen. So I'm on a roll today. It's funny because I was talking to my editor and I was like, I'm going to shoot this really short episode. And she's like, no, you're not. I'm talking to you, Shay. she is so right. She knows me so well. Okay. So here's what you need to do. Let's start shifting this mindset, shall we? So you want to change how you view your body, and you want to change how you view about yourself because age, right? Again, remember I was talking about how we were like, oh, the only way I can be happy is if I'm younger. No. So here's what you need to do. The first thing. First, if you are a client of mine, whether it's the Peacock Room, whether it's the Panther Room one-on-one, if you've been a client of mine in my past, you know that I require for you to do one thing, and that is to get a journal. If you're not willing to write in your journal and to express yourself in a journal, then most likely you're not coachable, right? So this is because as your guide and as a woman who seeks out the best interest for you, it's up to you're the only person who can truly have the conversations that you need to have with yourself. That's you. It's you. You have to make these conversations. You need to have these conversations with yourself. Okay. So number one, brain dump, get a journal and then brain dump. And I always say about the journals, just get a journal. That's a true reflection of who you are. Mine are over there. And whenever I do this, I'm like, oh, I want to, I'm just on a roll today. Okay. So get a journal and brain dump. Brain dump. If you're in this headspace where you're like, I'm not feeling myself, how do I get out of this rut? How do I get out of this funk? Let's talk to yourself. Let's talk to yourself. Because again, it's not going to matter how much weight you lose. It's not going to matter what outfit you wear. None of this is going to matter. What's going to matter is you need to change on what's going on the inside. So let's get started, shall we? So number one, brain dump, get all of those thoughts on a piece of paper. Why are you not feeling this way? What are the previous stories that you're telling yourself? What is the extra like residue that you're carrying over from previous relationships? Why are you not feeling yourself? Why are you feeling old and fat? Why? Is it because something someone told you? Is it from a previous relationship? Where does this, and if you tell me you don't know, you do know. Whenever clients go, I don't know, I go, you do. You do. You do know. Okay. So that's number one. Write down, because you're going to have, and sometimes when women are like, I don't know how to start with, as I tell them, as I tell these ladies, start with hi. You just start with that. You have to, the only way that you're going to be able to truly get yourself out of this is talking to yourself, having this conversation with yourself, having this dialogue with yourself. Okay, why am I not feeling myself? Where is this coming from? And just get every single thought that you possibly can, get that down in your journal. So figuring out, where are these stories coming from? Is this residue from a previous relationship? Is this something that you can reframe? Now, let me give you an example. One of the things that I do for my women is body mantras. So, because I'm sure that you have a million negative things to say about your body, but remember how I was talking about how when you speak negatively about your body and how your brain goes, oh, yeah, and you're feeding your brain and it changes your filter, and that's how you're viewing life. You have to rewire this brain. So instead of saying, when I feel old and fat, you could say, instead of saying old and fat, you could say, I'm feeling wise and voluptuous today. Just to give you an example of how to kind of turn that on its head and to reframe it. So after you do the brain dump, go back through it and say to yourself, how can I reframe these negative thoughts and feelings? Now, this is, again, I really want to emphasize, this is not a quick fix, but this can start the conversation, right? So this is the baby step of, again, even if we were working together, if this was the state of mind, this isn't something that we would probably even be able to really, truly work through until 6 months. This is a process, and you have to be willing to commit to it because you're deserving of it. You deserve the life that you've always wanted. But these thoughts and feelings that you have inside of yourself, this is what's preventing you. This is what's holding you back. You are in your own way. So, second step, reframe. Reframe these negative words. So instead of saying, my body's fat, you say, my body provides me with nourishment. My body is strong. My body is amazing. Come up with ways that you can reframe and restate these thoughts and feelings in a positive way. And you could probably, if this is something that's really holding you back, you could do what I do. So every day, and it kind of depends, I guess, I always have affirmations. Every day I have an affirmation. And one of the affirmations that I used to teach all the time for women who were really struggling with self-love was, I am deserving of my own love and attention, right? So you could even take these positive reframing of your thoughts and you could turn those into daily affirmations, because you have to retrain your brain. This is up to you. It doesn't matter how much I'm going to tell you how amazing and gorgeous and wonderful you are and what a catch you are. It's not going to matter what I say. You have to tell you. If you don't believe it, again, that filter is going to seek out information that's going to confirm. So it doesn't matter how much positivity I tell you, or a potential partner tells you, or your girlfriends tell you, or your parents tell you. It doesn't matter how much we tell you. You have to tell you. You have to tell you. Okay. So that's number 2. Number 3, when you do the brain dump, you're starting to reframe, you're starting to possibly make daily affirmations, you're starting to write these things down. If you're truly feeling fat, okay, if you're feeling that way and it's something that you want to change, what do you think that you, without thinking about the number on the scale, without thinking about that you want to get to a certain number, but being mindful of how you want to feel. So like one of the things that she had said when her and I were having this conversation is that she wants to feel healthy. That's perfect. If you want to feel healthy, then yes. But here's what you need to do. Whatever it is that you're going through, whatever this mindset is, whatever the funk is, the third thing that you need to do is you need to set goals, love goals. And this is what I have all my clients do, is set love goals for the next 6 months. You could even put down a goal a month, right? So month number 1, and make them realistic. Whenever I've had women that are like, I'm going to work, who don't ever work out, and they're like, oh, I'm going to work out 5 times a week. No. This is a form of self-sabotage, right? So you say, oh, I'm going to work out 5 times a week. And then you don't. And then you go, well, that didn't work. No. You need to be very realistic when it comes to setting these goals. Or I want to go on a date every day. And then if you don't go on a date every day, then you get discouraged. You're like, oh, well, nobody wants to date me. No, set something that's realistic, a goal that's going to help you achieve so that you don't feel this way anymore. Because here's the thing, thoughts are huge, right? So you've brain dumped, you have starting to rewire, possibly making daily affirmations, and now you got to do some action. What actionable items can you do for the next 6 months? And how do you want to feel? And though after those 6 months, what actionable items can you do every month that's going to help you to achieve that goal on how you want to feel about your body, about your person, and about your life? Those are the 3 things. Set goals next 6 months. How do I want to feel? Focus on that. Focus on that end result. This is how I want to feel, not look. This is not a vanity metric. This is not, I need you to truly put that aside, because I'm telling you right now, it does not matter how you're shaped. It does not matter your age. Every woman can find love. Truly. It's just women do a really good job of getting their own way and settling. And then when they get something that's good, they're really good at self-sabotaging it and pushing it away. So if you're listening to this and you're saying to yourself, okay, this all sounds amazing, but maybe you are afraid that you can't follow through, or maybe this is something that maybe it sounds overwhelming, but it's something that you know that you can do. I got you. It's a little plug for myself. So if you're listening to this and you're like, yes, you want to know more about my services, please go to singlewomensociety.com, or you can just email me personally, kat@singlewomensociety.com. Okay, my love. All right. So I hope that today's episode really helped you. 3-step process. If you don't have a journal, go out and get one. You deserve to have these conversations with yourself. And if you are even in this position where you're like, I can't even have that, then that's where therapy comes into play, right? So, and I'm a huge advocate for that. So if you, if maybe even sitting down with yourself and having these conversations is too uncomfortable, then I would highly suggest to seek someone out to help you kind of sort those things out. But hopefully this 3-step process helps you. And I just want to make sure and let you know that if you are having this awareness, that's already half the battle. A lot of women will seek out this happiness and try to seek out fulfillment when they're not when they don't have it themselves. They're trying to seek it out in partners and ultimately never find it because they don't have it with themselves first, right? Okay. All right, my love. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. It's so excited to see you. And if you are watching on YouTube, what's up? I'm giving you a little shimmy. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and follow, and click the bell so that every time there's a brand new episode, you are the first to know. And oh, by the way, hey, I wrote down all of the countries. Are you ready? All the countries that are listening to this. Okay, here we go. It's Canada, 36 states of the United States, Brazil, South Africa, Nigeria, Morocco, Portugal, Spain, France, Germany, Switzerland, Austria, Hungary, Netherlands, the UK, Ireland, Russia, Nepal, Indonesia, the Philippines, and Australia. Thank you, all of you, so much. I'm giving you a huge virtual hug from me to you. You're amazing. And please make sure, if you're listening, to subscribe, yes, of course, and rate and review these episodes, because I always love to hear from you. And if you are on social media, I do have a big announcement. I didn't talk about at the beginning of the show, but I'm not going to talk about it until next week, so never mind. But if you're following me over on Instagram and Facebook at Kat Cantrell, you can see all the ins and outs of everything that's going on over here. All right, my love. Thank you again so much for tuning into today's episode. And remember, true love is waiting for you, and I will see you next time.